Welcome back to another Tea Time with me, Amanda Prochaska. I'm so excited to be talking about 4 things that you need to be considering when you're looking at creating a support structure around your digital transformation. Most organizations fail to think about this as they're going through it, so let's get ahead of it as leaders and plan for it effectively. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, I'm back here at Lake Las Vegas. My kids had a dance competition this weekend, so I am on break, and why not create some videos to help you all out around your change initiative. So today it's all about the support structure related to digital transformation. So 4 things that I always see, or conversations happen when you're going through a digital transformation, and often this is an afterthought, so let's bring it forward as part of your strategy. The first thing that you need to be thinking of is who's going to support the system. Most of the time with digital transformations these days, there's a handful of people, maybe one person in IT. Then there are people in the business that we call functional admins. And these are the people that are going to be critical for your success long term. They are the ones that are configuring the system as your business changes. These are the people that are helping with your upgrades, and they're doing testing. These are the people that help you as you're doing your continuous improvement roadmap to make sure that the system is acting the way that it should. System admins are not easy to find or keep within your organization. So if you're thinking about, okay, who do I have on the team who can function in this role, it's really critically important that they build the skills that they need to understand your configuration and the systems that you're using. But you also have to be thinking about how are you going to keep these people on your team. There are other solutions out there. There are plenty, including Wonder Services, that offer functional admin services on a fractional basis or on a full-time basis. So if you don't want to have that role internally and you want to look for a third party, those options are available for you. But the functional admin, as you're moving through these implementations, need to be onboarded as soon as possible because it takes a long time. There's a learning curve to understand your strategies, your business, and how you're configuring your systems to support that. So get those functional admins included in your project as early as possible. And if you don't have anyone on the team or you don't want to hire somebody internally, look for a third party option, but they need to be engaged as early as possible, ideally to learn your particular system and needs. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is how are you going to train your staff ongoing? So people change roles, new people come into the organization, things change in organizations. So you need to have a training strategy around how are you going to keep everyone knowledgeable about your system. Now, I've had a lot of experience in procurement, and one thing that you see often in procurement is infrequent users. So they might go into your systems once a year. So how do you make sure that those people are supported? And that probably rings true for almost any functional area of a corporation. You have people who use the systems frequently, and then you might have people that are infrequent users. So you need to be thinking about both of those folks. You also need to be thinking about people who've changed roles and people who are coming in new to the organization that might be used to a different way of working. So what usually I do in consulting our clients about this is that we put together a training calendar. So we have a handful of trainings that are like online self-serve type things, but then we have a training calendar for each major user role throughout the month. So we know that every Tuesday of the month we're training new employees. So as new employees get onboarded, they know that the training is happening on the first Tuesday of the month or whatever it might be. And then we have refresher training for infrequent users if they want all of a sudden they're moved into a new role and they're going to be using it more often, or if they just need a refresher before they make the purchase. There are also different training options out there today, like digital adoption platforms or DApps that could help with the sustaining of the training itself, because dApps are actually built right on top of your platform. So if a user goes into your technology and they don't know exactly where to go, it will give you prompts on the screen to help direct users accordingly. So that could be a really good option for your ongoing training strategy. But don't think as training as I'm going to train during the implementation and then stop. This is very much an ongoing effort to keep your users understanding exactly what they need to be doing. And if any software supplier is telling you that you do not need training, be very questionable of that. That is a very oftenly used sales tactic for these implementations. What I like to say is that when people compare software as like Amazon-like or something that you use in your day-to-day business, I always tell people, yeah, but my husband doesn't need to approve my Amazon Prime purchases in the middle of the night. Businesses are a little bit more complicated. There are policies, there are processes, there are different ways of working. So typically, while maybe the technology itself is pretty simple, there usually needs to be a training around that so people know when to use what and what policies to follow. So that's number 2, and that's training. Number 3 is all about continuous improvement. So you get a system up and running. And usually during your implementation, you're going to find different things that you want to enhance along the way, but you just don't have time to do it during the implementation itself. So once you get done, you have this huge list of items that you need to tackle. So one of the first things that we do during hypercare is start planning for what's next. And you need people that will be able to work on that kind of stuff. So your SI rolls off, your system integrator rolls off, your other resources from the project team might roll off, and then what are you left with to help continuously improve upon your system? So we've seen a growth in different COEs. There could be an expanded role of a system admin, although those skill sets usually don't combine with each other, but if they do, cool. But you definitely need someone or some people, depending on how large your organization is, focusing on the continuous improvement of your platform. This could include adoption. So you might have weak areas of adoption that you need to pursue. There might be a phase 2 or other regions of the world or other areas of your scope that need to be implemented. There could be different bolt-on technologies to your base technology that you're going to want to deploy. There could be outsourcing opportunities or even different processes that you want to deploy post go live once you understand how things are working. So there always needs to be a continuous improvement roadmap, and the thing that I see clients get wrong all the time is that they're just so glad that the implementation is over and they don't want to think about what's next. You have to be thinking about what's next really up front in the project. If you have resources on your team that you want to sustain and move into continuous improvement, you want to engage them early. Again, the earlier you can identify that and get them embedded into the project, the better off you're going to be. So that brings me to point number 4. Point number 4 is end user support. So end user support, I would say, how do I want to say this? It is an afterthought during the implementations, because so often we're told, oh, it's so easy, nobody's going to have questions, or we're going to do such a great job at training that everyone's just going to know what to do. And in reality, what happens if you don't have a support structure is people start calling whomever will answer their question, no matter if the answer is correct or not. So I see this all the time where people have like playbooks set off on the side, or a training document that was from 4 years ago that's no longer valid, but yet they're getting asked the questions versus having a kind of a formalized customer service and customer support process. So whenever you're going through a digital transformation, you need to be thinking about what channels do you want to create where people can get their questions answered. Now I'm going to share a key learning that I had in an implementation where we implemented an end-to-end system for procurement and accounts payable. And maybe this will apply to other areas of business too, but we had a customer service organization in procurement, and then we also had one in accounts payable prior to the project. Okay, so we had these two separate teams, but we also had two separate systems and two separate processes. So it was really clear for an end user to understand that this is a invoicing question versus a procurement question. Well, when we went to an end-to-end system, all of that got very, very muddy. So about four weeks after our first go live, we were looking at some feedback, and one of the users said, I contacted procurement about my invoice, which was interesting. Actually, it was I contacted AP about my invoice. AP then sent it over to procurement because there was no goods receipt, and then procurement sent it back to AP because they didn't think that a goods receipt was their question. So anyway, long story short, it went around and around and around in circles for like 10 days. And it's just back and forth between the two groups. And the end user was like, I'm waiting for 10 days to get my question answered. This is unacceptable. So it was like a light bulb moment for me that when you're going through a transformation like this, you have to think about the current existing support structure and how the technology or your new processes are going to change that model. We did it too late. It was a miss on our side during that particular project. I will never forget it, so it won't happen again, but I want you to avoid that mistake too. So think about what channels do you want to create for your customer service, but then what's also existing that you might need to shift moving forward to make sure that the questions that your end users have are answered in a very streamlined way. Now, I will add, with the chatbots coming out, chatbots are awesome for this type of support. Just make sure that if you are considering rolling one of those out, that you have your most frequently asked questions answered in those chatbots, and then a way for if their question's not getting answered or they think it's incomplete, that they can contact someone as a result of their question or because of that situation. So don't feel like you have to have all of your questions built into those chatbots if you're using them, but make sure that there's a support mechanism behind that so people can reach out to a person to ask their question. All right, with that said, that is all about support model. Again, it's something that is always overlooked during these implementations because you're so focused on getting whatever it is up and running. But the earlier you can think about support, long-term support, the better off you're going to be. So you need a systems admin, you need training support, you need continuous improvement support, and you need end user support. Those are the four main pillars that we talk about all the time with our clients at Wonder Services. So I am Amanda Prochaska. I'm the Chief Wonder Officer of Wonder Services, and we're all about solving the problem of change adoption during digital implementations and beyond. And so that's why I have such a passion for this. We've had so many experiences with our clients, and we want to make sure that we're setting everyone that's watching here today up for success in the future. You can learn from all of us. So if you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe for future Tea Times with me, Amanda Prochaska. Until next time.